Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from around the world. Welcome to Web3 Warriors, episode 101, featuring Yunice, a talented artist and DJ with a lot of tracks on the blockchain. Welcome, Yunice. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing
Thanks for
awesome.
having me on.
Yeah, thank you for joining all the way
101
from.
episodes. I'm flattered. Like,
Hey,
that's a good number, and like, good job.
That's it. That's it.
101
Trying to stay
good.
consistent here, Eunice, you know?
Yeah.
Episode 101. So we got to drop a lot of knowledge here on the 101 episode, right? We're going to be talking music and blockchain and Web3 and all that fun stuff. And I know you're very well educated on it. I've been watching some of your videos and your content out there talking about the power of peer-to-peer and crypto. So really looking forward to getting into it. Yes. So welcome everybody to Web3 Warriors. I'm your host, David Krome, go by Krome in the metaverse. And today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about music on the blockchain. And this is a topic that we have visited a few times in the past through these 100 episodes that we've had. But it's really exciting to be able to talk to Yunice about it. We actually met at nft.nyc, and I was lucky enough to be able to see her perform not just once but twice, her own solo set, as well as with Creatress and Crux, who I'm very proud to say have both been on the show as well. We've talked to them as well about their experiences in Web3, more so on the performance side and the dance side, but very cool to have you now on the show, Yunice. And I think it speaks to the importance of connecting IRL and actually meeting with people who are kind of like mind and in this NFT crypto space, and helping each other out, collaborating and sharing knowledge, most importantly, and really finding the value in the space beyond just, you know, getting your bag or making money, but actually having a real impact on people's lives. So when looking at, you know, music in blockchain and on Web3, you know, a lot of the times we hear about the value of kind of having the loyalty program side of things, right? Having the ultimate connection to your customers, basically like an exclusive club for your fans, for those who buy your NFTs, who purchase your work on the blockchain, right? We've also spoken about kind of the XR and metaverse angle of it, and the fact that you can now create a lot more kind of immersive experiences where you can give perks to your holders, the people that have bought your NFTs. You can create token gated experiences in the metaverse, in certain kind of XR experiences, even augmented reality. You can actually give certain assets to your token holders that they can then see in the real world through augmented reality. So we've talked about that use case, and of course, most importantly, the power of having the peer-to-peer data, and the idea that now you actually have an instant connection with all of your holders, all your collectors. You can use that data to reward them, you can use that data to reach out to them, and most importantly, just to know who your supporters are in a very tangible, clear way. So these are just a few kind of key pieces that we've looked at, but I've been hearing more and more recently is the idea that in order for Web3 to really take off, in order for crypto to become more commonplace, we essentially have to bring culture on chain, you know? And so obviously art has kind of led the charge in many ways, bringing art and culture on chain, on the blockchain, in very valuable, very clearly valuable ways that have been, you know, creating a lot of revenue for a lot of people, especially since kind of Beeple had that $69 million sale back in 2021, and all of the art that kind of flowed after that. But even before that, you know, whether it was with CryptoPunks or, you know, kitties, all kinds of different projects that were making money through art. But music has been a little bit slower to be like kind of fully adopted and to be kind of accepted, I would say, even in the Web3 space, and able to find a real niche, you know? But as music grows, as that adoption does grow, I think that that's really going to popularize culture being on chain. You know, it's one thing to have art on chain, which I'm a huge fan of. You can see it in the metaverse where we're hanging out. Got a lot of art NFTs that I'm proud of, and having that collection is one thing. But I think people who love music love it in a more visceral way, right? And I think that when their musicians start giving perks to them on chain, you know, Eminem's coming out with a new album, right? And I hear he might have some Web3 components with that. So if you have someone like an Eminem, you have someone like an Eminem bringing in NFTs, bringing in the on-chain kind of dynamics, who knows where it goes from there, right? And if it just becomes a kind of commonplace for fans of music to actually expect their musicians to create kind of on-chain perks, then I think we're in a whole new ball game, right? So I'm just going to leave the listeners with that thought and the idea of bringing culture on chain, and what important role does kind of music play in that kind of push to bring more people and to kind of popularize the use case for blockchain and for crypto. With that, I want to turn it over to Yunice. Maybe before we really jump into your Web3 resume and all the amazing stuff you have on chain, I'd love to hear a little bit about yourself as an artist and your background and kind of what brought you to Web3. So thanks for joining, Yunice. Can you share a little bit about your artist background and bio?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I'm a singer since as long as I remember. I've been doing music, performing with a band since high school, and got into producing, got into DJing, and shifted towards more of an electric alternative pop sound. And that's always been the umbrella to the sound that I do. I've done commercial music, but ultimately when I drop my own music, it's more visceral and I describe my experiences. And the genres don't matter as much as like the story I put behind it. And yeah, I mean, I've tried leaving music, but I always come back. So that's kind of the case in Web3 as well. I shifted as a music artist to a visual artist for a while. This is like 2018, 19. I was doing art murals in Brooklyn and selling art on the street.
Nice.
Didn't pay too many bills. So I got into day trading normal stocks, like on the Wall Street, not on Wall Street, but
traditional day trading. All right.
Yeah. So that's how I got exposed to that side of things. And then I just keep hearing about Bitcoin. So one day I finally decided to find out what the hell is Bitcoin. I had my friend explain it to me for 2 hours, and I'm just like, I don't know what he's saying. Something about sending money to friends. I'm like, when would I ever send money to friends? So now I know a lot more about what he meant, just like you said, peer-to-peer data exchange. Anyways, but yeah, I got into Bitcoin around January 9, 2019 and forgot about it, and then checked on it later when it blew up, caught the run, and that's how I really was like, wait a minute, what the heck is crypto? And I learned more about the principles of crypto and how it's like it's something that we're building outside of governmental control and more of a, I call it like an anarchic capitalism. And yeah, I really adhere to a lot of those ideas, coming from a country that's like very unstable in their politics, which is Burma, Myanmar, where they're still in a dictatorship, and like the currency is very unstable. There's deflation, inflation, all the things, right? So I understood that sometimes government is not like trustworthy all the time, and we understand that in the States as well.
Right.
But either way, I got into crypto, trading crypto, and just like the lifestyle of it, going around the world, going to different events, learning more about it. And I basically never turned back. I'm still full-time in Web3 and crypto. How I got into music is really towards the bear market. And I was like, oh, okay, so, the trades are a little not going the right direction. And then I got curious as to what really is NFT, because the first time I bought NFT, it was a rug.
And, you gotta be careful in this space,
read headlines, and they're like, oh, someone sold a digital rock for $69 million. Like, what the heck is going on? And but I start kind of paying attention to the music side of crypto, and that was a year and a half ago. Music NFT was still kind of an idea that's floating around, and I took the plunge again. I just deep dive and into music NFTs. I moved to LA. I start going to all events, get to know everybody, join Twitter. And that was a whole opener too. I was like, oh, everybody in crypto's in Twitter. Like,
yeah.
uh, and then started releasing music on chain and learned a lot about that. And because it's such a fast paced scenario, like nobody knows what's next. It's in your hands as artists, as builders. You can decide what's next for Web3 trends. So it's been a very exciting experience, and I absolutely love engaging with the Web3 community, whether it's NFT people. I call them, I categorize them as like crypto people, NFT people, and like developers. Um, I attend a lot of these events. Again, I do a lot of shows around the country and also like overseas, like NFT Paris,
That's amazing.
Miami was a big one, New York, LA, and South by Southwest last year. So I love it. I love performing in the community. And
That's
yeah, and I see a lot of room for creativity, whether it's um, collaborating, like you've seen Creatress's set
mhm.
where I provided the music side, Crux performed her songs as well, and then there's dancing and there's VR, there's AR, everything. So there's a lot of room for creating things that have never been done before, and that's only unique to Web3. And yeah, we can get into that a little later too, but
100%. I love it. That's a great breakdown. That's exciting. So, looking at that, kind of jumping into the music NFT space in the bear market, would that have been like 2022? And can you walk us through kind of what your first kind of foray into Web3 music was? I have a image on the screen here which shows kind of your snapshot. I believe it was from 2023, looking at 11 Ethereum worth of sales and collections in your kind of in your catalog, I guess. But yeah, I'd love to hear just kind of what was venturing into music NFTs like for you, and what was kind of your first platform or method that you used to mint your NFTs.
So, I mean, I put this out in public, so you can read in detail. I was like, oh, did he read that other blurb? But yeah, I told everyone, basically I came in back into the space having lost like over 8 Bitcoins.
Dang.
So I wasn't rugged, but I was wrecked, so it really just like pulled me down back to earth. I was, before that I was like traveling and like,
You're crypto rich and
and
loving it.
oh my God. I was like, I can get used to this,
No doubt. Sheesh.
But it really, yeah, that's part of crypto. A lot of people experience this too, where they're on top and then all of a sudden they're like, oh wait, hold on, So it really humbled me, and I moved to LA feeling like I have to restart everything. I was staying with friends and making new friends and kind of like not sure what to do next. Um, like I said, I deep dived into the whole music NFT scene. I wanted to meet everybody in that area, especially in LA too. There's a lot of music being done from all sorts of level. It's not just like Eminem level. It's like there's
Of course.
feature music for movies. There's commercials. So there's and I really like that about being in here too, because like songwriting is an actual respected job here. Like not that it's not, of course it's a real job, but here it's a people. It's common to meet
Yeah.
artists, everywhere,
Right.
producers. So yeah, I enjoyed meeting people here and collaborating, writing new music, as well as like, oh, I joined Squad of Knights. That was Illmind's PFP project. Illmind did hip hop music for like J. Cole and the likes. A lot of that.
Cool.
He's Asian American, he's Filipino, and there's that bond too, where I was like, wow, you actually get to see Asian Americans making it in the music industry. So he did a Squad of Nights, and there were events in New York and LA, and I got to know the people. Like there was this producers all around the world. There was Venice Music that was in LA, and they're another music NFT based project. Troy worked with Lady Gaga back in the day. So they were experimenting with their structure and how what can be done in music NFTs. So it was cool meeting them. And then at a Venice music event is when I met Cooper Turley, and he was the cat's crying now. There's a little kitten, if you guys can hear it. But yeah,
No, we
Cooper
can't hear it. It's
started
okay.
a cohort for onboarding new artists, and I was one of those artists. And so I got to, get acquainted with a lot of the platforms that we're building out at that time, which is like Sound.xyz, Catalogue. So I joined them and released music through them. And yeah, just showing up to different events, keep showing up.
So was it
Somebody
Sound?
said, like, if you stayed long enough in one event, like, Yunice will pop up. So I was like,
I like it. Yeah, definitely. I saw you at a couple events. I think you were at the Pigeons of New York event as well, right? The yacht party. That was dope. But that's awesome. So would you say Sound.xyz was kind of your first foray then? Was that where you first minted music on?
Actually, my Genesis job was actually on Catalogue. So Catalogue's model is 1 of 1, and that's where I dropped Under My Skin. And yeah, for 0.4 ETH. And then, so I got a taste of, oh, wait, because music on Apple Music is 99 cents. And so we're really building a culture of, seeing art in a different perspective, especially music. And I always knew that music is about how you price it. There's so many indie artists who would play at a bar for beer, but when they make it, it's kind of like, oh, 100 bands. I'm not showing up. Unless it's like $500,000.
Of course.
It's psychology, it's fame, it's power. It's like, but the song might be the same. Like, you could be playing the same song in underground place or not. So yeah, the fact that a lot of NFT pieces are priced by the artists themselves, and we can play around with that model. It's not like you have to price it, 1 ETH or free all the time. You can decide,
Yeah. And so what do you think? Yeah,
economy with art. Yeah,
that's amazing. So Catalogue is specifically for 1 of 1 music NFTs. I wasn't familiar with that one. And so so that ability to really price it where you see the value, and then hope that your collectors also agree with that value and then buy it. What is like you say, it's kind of a psychological thing, right? And it speaks to kind of how you value yourself, but it also speaks to anticipated interest, right? Like to some extent, you can price it whatever you want, 100%, but to what extent do you also kind of factor in like the likelihood of selling it, or the general interest of the buyer community, because like it sounds awesome, like I'm just going to put a 1 of 1 music on the chain for 1 Ethereum or 0.4 Ethereum, but obviously selling it is a hard part of that process to actually see the value that you've minted. How do you kind of tackle that?
Yeah, it's a lot about reading the trend. Like you were saying, the trend changes so fast, and it's interesting we brought this up because this was like 2022, and the trend back then was less viral per se, right? It's a lot about the scarcity, like it's a 1 of 1, and then Sound.xyz too. Back then, you have to sell 25 to start, and then you can decide to sell 25 to 100. And then now it's just open mint. A lot of it's open mint. So yeah, it's within months, this changes. Also, you can get creative with it. You can put utilities to it, like saying the song will give you free shows for life, whether that side or straight up royalties, which I've never dabbled into yet. I'm proud to own all my masters. But yeah, a lot artists start getting creative with the utility side of NFT, and it helps to read your audience too, like whether you value exposure and getting as many people and eyeballs on your project versus building an inclusive community, or just finding the one-of-one patron,
Right. Or
So,
even that would be more exclusive for the one-on-one patrons, right? And the ability of like people who really want to have that special piece that nobody else can get,
exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love what you're talking about with the varied different opportunities, right? And the fact that the platform, to your point, will have rules one day and then, a month later, totally different rules, or all the rules are out the window, and like we just want people minting as much as possible on our platform,
Yep.
right? So that's definitely accurate for sure. So I noticed that you do tend to incorporate a lot of kind of live performances. We got the video kind of streaming on here, one of your videos on your hey.xyz page, but how important is it for you to kind of incorporate the live angle, like the dancing performance angle? Because I know a lot of musicians in the Web3 space will use art, or like a single static art or like a GIF or something, and then have, the music underlaying it. I don't see as much of like the real kind of live performance integrated into the music, like an actual video, right? So why have you chosen that tact, and, what is... do you think it's important?
Performing, like making music videos?
Yeah, making the music videos and kind of minting them as music videos with actual kind of performance integrated.
Well, I think the Web3 world is based on internet. It's
Visual,
based
right?
on scrolling. It's based on first and foremost internet, right? And so we're feasting with our eyes, and music's not different. You have to grab the attention visually, and so I keep that in mind, always. And I love movements.
Just your vibe, yeah. I dig
um
it.
yeah, like my style is very like, I like to push the boundaries. I like to bring out like sexuality, sensuality, however you want to package it. I don't know. I have a few thoughts on that. I love being sexy and fun and teasing. Like in the music video, you'll see it has a webcam type feeling, but the deeper story into that. Are we playing Private Room in the back? Is
Yeah, it
that
was
what's
private
happening?
room,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So, but if you read the description, it's really my discovery of how, when there's no one in the room, when there's no like cameraman or like somebody I'm performing for, when I'm just performing for the camera, for myself, because I'm like selfie mode, right? I am a whole different person. I come to life. I'm not worried about you. I'm not worried about nobody. I'm worried about me. Like, and that's a performance because it's recorded. You can watch it later. But that's a whole new type of performance, like selfie is. And so this video kind of is based on that, where I'm showing you a side of me that only I see. So yeah, even though it's just, she's just like, rolling around being sexy, but like I try to put something a little deeper than
Yeah,
that. Like
there's a purpose behind it, right?
I have an album cover for Details, which is still minting. It's on Sound.xyz, where I'm just nude, and we blurred out the nipples, but I'm just straight up nude. And sure, you see a nude girl, but for me, it's almost like I want to make a statement where I am nude, but it's not that sexual. Like I have the control as a woman to make it sexual, where if it's through my facial expression, if it's through a pose, everyone's nude. We're all nude.
Yeah.
But the individual can decide where the message goes. And so, yeah, I have to admit, I do like nude art.
No, I mean,
There's
hey,
a few projects
it's
coming
art.
out
It's
too.
art, It's
that,
definitely art. And I love that,
yeah,
you're confident in yourself and you want to kind of perform and be very clear about kind of...
sometimes I'm not confident all the time too. Like, trust
Well,
me, I'm just an introvert
yeah.
artist, and like
It's like you
I
said though,
hide
right?
under the blanket all the time. So,
I dig it. I dig
but
it.
yeah, I do want to push those new thoughts along. That is not just like, oh, it's a clickbait or anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
you only live once anyway, so when I'm wrinkly, I can look back and be like, yeah.
There you go. And
So,
so what I'm hearing is a bit of like liberation, it's a bit of just like being free and being yourself and not feeling confined or not being worried about, other people's thoughts. And what you're talking about kind of coming to life in front of the camera, I think it's a really cool sentiment. And I do think that it's something that's shared by a lot of people, right? When you're on your own and you're kind of vibing, it's the same like singing and dancing in the shower, right? It's kind of similar idea, just kind of like being your most like kind of authentic self. So that's pretty awesome. So I'm curious, when it comes to the Web3 events, you mentioned NFT Paris, you've clearly traveled a lot to a lot of Web3 events. Have they actually helped you when it comes to selling your NFTs, when it comes to kind of gaining more notoriety and being able to really move some of these NFTs, whether it's on Sound? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the space is quote unquote still small. My plan is just to meet everyone as many as possible and connect with them and see what they're building. I want to meet people who I can work with in the future and make something that's never been done before, which is, just Web3 projects. Let's say like a Web3 gaming. I want to have my music in there, or visually. There's like Creatress. I would have never met her if it wasn't for Web3, and she does in real life AR, and and then we've talked about this for months. We're like, oh, why don't we just put music with it? So examples like that. Like I do love traveling and supporting different projects, playing the shows, getting my name out there, showing them who I am in real life and meeting everyone. So yeah.
Awesome.
There is a discrepancy, I must say, though. Like the PFP NFT people, like they like you and stuff, but it's a different level. Like
different vibe.
They're not thinking about music most of the time. They're thinking about like pudgy rods, like the fishing rods for the penguin. And I'm like, okay, so that's what you're busy with. Okay, cool.
But it goes back to the kind of just chasing the bag, I think, to ultimately, right? Like, it's the next hot thing. What's the next alpha? Can I buy it low and sell it high the next day? Like that's what they're in it for, right?
So to that sentiment, music has something very genuine to it. If someone buys music NFTs, they're not thinking of like, oh, I'm gonna make a bag. Like, if you
I would think not. I mean, everyone I've talked to who collects music NFTs, myself included, are not thinking about reselling that music NFT at all. Like that's the other thing too.
Investment.
Yeah, exactly.
If you do catch it, great. And there are flippers actually.
Of course, yeah.
Back in the day when there's like only 25 copies and stuff like, but yeah. But there's something like unruggy about music where you're like, I'm here to do music NFTs, and
100%.
I'm not here.
It's almost like unruggable in a sense, like I've always said when it comes to
That's not true, but
anything's ruggable. Of course, you can lie about stuff. You used an AI to make it and you don't care. Anyway, who knows what could happen in Web3? There's always an opportunity for some shysters out there. But to your point, I think that I've always said when it comes to my NFTs, even the ones that were PFPs, frankly, most PFPs I bought, there might have been a small percentage that I straight degened on, but for the most part I actually liked the PFP art, and like if it went up in value, awesome, maybe I will sell it later, but I wasn't gonna lose anything out if it didn't go up in value and I just had to keep it for my walls in the metaverse or whatever the case might be, and even when it comes to
like Snoop Dogg, I bought 3 copies thinking if it goes somewhere, so there are different like mindsets and opportunities in there too.
Yeah, 100%. And I think when it comes to collecting art, the idea of reselling art eventually at some point in the future, or if you happen to just get an awesome offer from somebody who really likes it, that's kind of commonplace in the art world, right? Whereas with music, when I buy music from somebody, I'm buying it because I want to support that person who created the music and nothing else. Like it's not even a thought towards future value for me personally. And I think that's generally the case for a lot of people that I talk to who are collecting NFTs from people that they are musicians specifically that they support and that they want to kind of keep track of into the future, you know. So that's another piece of it, is the provenance, right? Being able to say, you know, I was there when they started their career in Web3 and I collected however many of their NFTs, you know. That's part of it too, just kind of bragging rights, right? So we mentioned the private room video. We did have showing a little bit on the screen here. Stick around till the very end, because we will show the full private room video with audio for all the listeners and viewers. So appreciate you, Yunice, allowing us to share that. So I was curious, you know, if you had to kind of pinpoint one kind of tip for success as somebody who's, you know, sold several ETH worth of music NFTs, you know, for those who maybe are jumping into it just to get started, or maybe those who have put music on chain but, you know, maybe struggling or not really finding their audience quite yet. Do you have any kind of advice? It sounds like definitely attending Web3 events is helpful, get your name out there. But what would you say is kind of your top advice for those who maybe can't afford to actually attend IRL events, but, you know, can be more active on social media, or can be, you know, just kind of taking part in conversations? What do you think?
There's a lot. With this model, it's there, you know, you're building a community and you want to offer friendship to your supporters, but you also want to understand your role as an artist too. That they, how do I say this? I see a lot of artists using the space and their supporters as therapists, like, but they're not, you know, like, I think as an artist, there's an element of fantasy. Like, you're not just another person, you know, in the bodega. Like, they see you as something awesome, right? Or a bad artist. I don't know. I see bad artists all the time. Sorry. But yeah, they see you as someone who provides something fantastic, right? Or, you know, fantasy like that you won't see normally. So so that's our job as artists to uphold. I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah,
but
like thinking outside of the box kind of thing, like being innovative.
Coming out to realize that and not be like, oh, I give up, or I don't know, like, don't break their fantasy. They're here to see you as something new, you know. So or not new, but like they want to look at you with like rose-colored glasses. You want that for yourself. So take it however you like. So that's what I see. Like it's hard for me too, because sometimes I want to say something petty and witty on Twitter. I'm just like, and I'm like, wait, hold on, maybe that's not good for my career. So there's a lot of that too, right? Like, what's your brand? What's your message?
Self-policing.
I like to come off more and uninhibited, say whatever I want. Like, you know, imagine when you can, you know? So, and yeah, oh, well, that's also like you should think about your bottom line as well. Like, I know it's very tempting, and sometimes we come from a place of, well, you know, like the song's already done and I can just make another song. Let me just give it all for free. Let me just you know, I don't need money. Well, I'm a real artist. I don't need money. Like,
yeah, the starving artist syndrome is real, right?
well,
It's a real
describe
thing.
that to me. Like, I don't get it. You know, I'm here for the art, and let me just it's free. And hello, have you budgeted it, right? For me, right, it cost me more than $1,000 per song to make. My time, my studio equipment, mixing, mastering, producer, the time to register it, all the things. It's more or less 1,000, and if not 4, if not 3, I don't know. So when you budget it and you want to set a bottom line for your project and what you expect to get back, sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's like, I'm exposing to 10,000 people with this project, and then that's an investment. Great. But you still have to, you know, make a plan And sometimes it is like I at least have to make $1,000 just to keep the lights on. Like seriously, people think, oh, $1,000, haha, good luck. It's not a lot. It
Right.
really isn't. Yeah. So, um, yeah,
Kind of be
I like
authentic, be true to
artists
yourself when it comes to the costs that you're covering and you're dealing with, right?
it's not okay to come off like taking the blow all the time as an artist. It's not okay. Yeah.
That's great advice. That's amazing. Very important. I'm curious, do you or have you yet performed in the metaverse, and do you have thoughts towards kind of the digital 3D environment and using, you know, your Web3 career to kind of expand into that space?
I would love to do more. I've done one where it's a recorded space, so I sent it in, and then I had a family emergency, so I wasn't even there
Oh no.
during the show, which is like interesting. Like, yeah, I was in the metaverse, but I've never actually used Decentraland, and I'm like, I don't know how to explain to people. I'm just like, I don't know, but I've done a show. This summer for sure, like there's more opportunities coming into where they asked me to do more metaverse stuff, and you can do it live now apparently,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
which is
You can
pretty
live
cool. So
stream
it
it for
feels
sure.
more of a show. So yeah, that's exciting. And if you know more of that, like please let me know for sure. Yeah.
100%. I can definitely put you in touch with some cool performers in the Decentraland space. Shout out to Vita TV, as well as in the Voxel space, where we have our own Web3 Warriors headquarters and a lot of friends and family, or Web3 family in the Voxel space. You know, I find it to be an OG metaverse. The nice thing about Voxels is it actually can be brought up on your phone. But to your point, you can live stream things into both metaverses through Twitch or through YouTube using a live link. So definitely, you know, as I hear about events coming up, now that I know you're interested, I'll definitely keep your name top of mind and reach out if there's any opportunities, because I do hear about more and more events happening in the metaverse, especially in Decentraland, frankly. So shout out to Decentraland. They're doing some things right, because they do have some fairly active event community happening out there, which is nice to see. Voxels a little bit more quiet, unfortunately, but I have a soft spot in my heart for Voxels. Anyone wants to check out our headquarters in the Voxels metaverse, you can go to web3warriors.tez.page. And yes, that is a Tezos domain name, web3warriors.tez.page. Check out our website, or check out our metaverse space, sign the guest book, get some free wearables. That's what's up. So very cool. We'll look forward to seeing you perform in the metaverse, Yunice. I'm also curious, do you have a favorite blockchain? Obviously, Ethereum's been pretty good to you. Are you partial to Ethereum? Are you on Solana? Are you on any of the other kind of blockchains yet?
I mean, Bitcoin is
right
the reason why we're all here.
The OG.
The kids need to remember. I don't care if you don't use the blockchain, you can't tell me you don't appreciate Bitcoin. It's kind of like, I use the metaphor, like it's like an artist saying like, I don't like colors. It's like, what are you even talking about? So look, I have a Bitcoin tattoo.
Oh snap, that's how you know Bitcoin was good for you. You tatted it for life.
But that's a great transition to what I really want to bring up. I think this cycle is gonna be a lot different because we're more open to layer 2 now, whether through base or optimism. So Ethereum gases is not like how it used to be, is not as high anymore. And for music, I think that's super important, because you don't want to sell something that's $3 and your gas is $6, and it's like,
right.
So with layer 2, I think that's totally different now. Like I've minted a whole music video that you're watching, and the gas was like, I don't know, less than $2 probably on Zora. It's still minting, by the way. It's a 1 of 1, and yeah.
Nice.
I I put it on, I don't know if I can, okay, so let me rephrase that. I think music has room to do omni-chain, meaning it used to be like, oh, of course you just wanted to release it on one blockchain, and I disagree with that. I feel like blockchains these days are kind of just different currencies. It's almost like if you go to Europe, of course you're going to use euros. You know, you can't be like, well, I'm American, so park your croissant, here's $1. Like people will be like, the hell, you know? what is this like maxi loyalty? For music, I think we want to get it into the hands of as many people as possible. So in the future, I do plan to drop like omni chain projects where it's available on like 9 different chains.
That's dope. I
Yeah.
like Omni-chain. I don't know if I've heard that
Yeah.
one, actually. That might be a new one for me, but I definitely dig where you're coming from. Shout out to Kane Mayfield. He's someone who's done both Bitcoin collectibles as well as Ethereum going back quite a bit. And I believe Tezos as well, where, you know, on this case, in his most recent drop, he's got the Bitcoin out and he's moving it to Ethereum, and you can buy through either one. And like you say, it's the same track, so it's Omni-chain. I like Omni-chain. That's amazing. I don't know if you coined that, but I'll give you credit if I use it in the future. But that's a great point, and I like where you're coming from. So no favorite necessarily, but obviously mad props to Bitcoin as the OG, as the originator in this peer-to-peer space. So I'm here for that as well. And what do you think about the inscriptions and the idea that Bitcoin now has quote unquote NFTs, which, you know, are not your traditional NFTs programmed or anything like that? But how are you feeling about that whole kind of blow up on the Bitcoin network?
It's I mean, crypto is financial freedom, so whatever is possible, do it. You know, I understand a lot of people see it as like blocking up the traffic and that. Also, I've never made a bag on ordinals yet, but I'm sure once I made a bag, or I'll be like, yeah, fuck yeah, you know, like that's how it is.
Yeah.
But I invested in some runes that didn't pop off, so I'm mad about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it all depends on your experience, but you know, the whole idea of like the uniqueness of ordinals, you inscribe it to, you know, the block, and no one else can ever do that. So there's some really like that's culture actually. That's what we're talking about, culture. Like that's a huge part of Bitcoin culture. But also, yeah, like we put crypto and Bitcoin on a pedestal sometimes, but like also what's part of the culture was that like Bitcoin got its notoriety through Silk Road, actually. You know what I mean? Like there were a lot
Can't
of
deny it.
interactions. So what was my point? Like sometimes we're like saying like it's bad for environment. Why are we doing like $69 million rocks? Like because the culture is that there are like a variety of like notoriety, let's just call it like a variety of like creative ways in
and
capitalism.
that's the free market ultimately, right? It's that idea that like
I
you
would
might
never
not
shit on someone who like use crypto the way of course I'm against rugging and robbery, and so of course not, but yeah,
no, but your point is sound as far as like there's all these different angles to crypto, and it's not that everything is necessarily above board, but the culture is also a counterculture, right? And it's the idea that essentially it's always been in contrast to something. You opened up your story about, you know, being from Burma and having that kind of history and understanding the idea that governments can kind of destroy your currency, can limit your economic abilities, your ability to sell things, your ability to trade and transact freely can very easily be impeded. And, you know, in the West here, in America, I'm in Canada, we've seen basically continuously printing more and more money, which is obviously devaluing the currency, although they won't tell you that up front. And so that's been a big part of, I think, the push into Bitcoin. Even the BlackRock guy, Larry Fink, right, was saying that now Bitcoin all of a sudden is a rush to safety. So even this guy who's basically helped bankroll, he actually said that, and he actually has been bankrolling the entire system along with, you know, all the big bankers, right? And so if somebody in his position, exactly. Well, they're coming for the Bitcoin for sure, but the fact that they see the safety in Bitcoin in relation to fiat currency really says everything. Like they're acknowledging fiat is only going further and further down in value. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has a set amount. It has a very clear kind of use case as now more so digital gold than necessarily a digital currency. currency, but that is the way that things are evolving. So to your point, it's kind of interesting how that narrative changes from Silk Road, everything's just like, human trafficking, horrible, crypto's just for the criminals, to, oh, now we want, your grandpa and grandma to be able to invest in Bitcoin through our
Where's
ETFs,
your retirement, grandpa?
Yeah.
You don't need an IRA. Put it in Bitcoin.
That's it. It's crazy.
Exactly, to your point. So we've come a long way since, Silk Road activity. And but I'm so deep in Web3 that I don't even realize how bad our reputation is. I'm like surprised.
I'm guilty of that too sometimes, for sure.
Sometimes about to like pull the plug on all like, damn, I really, there's this artist who tried to release music on Sound.xyz, and their TikTok community flipped out and started calling them scammers, to a point where they had to pull out like the same day. I was like, wow.
That's not what you do. You educate TikTok. That's okay. Educate them
it's
all.
not like they're trying to sell some like PFP donkey picture.
Right. Exactly. You're literally selling your music on chain. Like, so when you look at that Sound.xyz, do you have any criticisms? Like, I've been hearing from, some of my OG friends in the Web3 music space, when they look at like Sound.xyz versus maybe an Emanate, for example. I don't know if you were familiar with Emanate. They ended up having to close down, but they were kind of on the more of the streaming side, and were actually giving out like crypto payment for every time that your song was streamed. But unfortunately, it didn't quite work long term, just didn't have enough buy-in and kind of use case. But now looking at Sound.xyz and the way they do it, where you can play it, and obviously the creator doesn't actually make money for every time that it's played, right? But the creator does make money for every time that it's minted, and after you've heard the song, you have the option to mint it at the price that you as the creator set. Do you have any criticisms of that kind of business model, or do you see this being a very kind of lucrative, good model going forward that you're going to be continuing to mint songs on? Or how do you feel about that?
I love the team. They've been like super sweet to me this whole time. I do see the issues brought forward with the model of 25 mints. For the average used to be like 0.02, 0.03, which is like $20 to $45 per mint, to right now the trend is to do free mints, and there's a mint fee involved. So I believe it's around like $2.50. When you drop a free mint, you there's still a mint fee. I think the issue lies on onboarding enough people. So, for normal artists, one day you're worried about selling 25, right? To, you might have 2,000 followers. Selling 25 doesn't sound too crazy, but the next day, like I said, there's that bottom line that you try to match. It's almost overnight. Like, you literally need to be exposed to 20,000 people to get like similar results, right? If not more. And we all know that, like, we can barely onboard our best friends. Like, they're still stuck in the they don't want to hear it. Like, okay, like, it's hard. Like, where the hell are you supposed to find like 20,000 other fans basically in a week? So there lies a problem there. And then there is a trend of, so how do you find those people? You need marketing. What does marketing entail? Money. So there's that same old trend again, where if you have enough money for marketing, you're gonna succeed, just like anything else, right? Like, you want to sell some weird thing from online, you're just gonna do marketing.
Right.
Weird thing online.
Basically, just pay for plays, pay for views, pay for the stats.
As far as streaming goes, I do love Gala music for what they've done. They've figured out streaming, paid streaming. So if you stream my music or everybody's music on Gala, the NFT collector and the artist receive royalties from that stream. So the technology's there. It's just kind of switching up.
That's pretty interesting. I haven't seen Gala music doing that, because they do video as well. Isn't there Gala film? And then there's
there's Gala film, and there's Gala games, there's Gala music.
Wow.
So I've done one song with them, and it's been really fun.
Cool.
Yeah, we did a activation gig in last year's VCon.
Oh,
Like, so
nice,
it's a
nice.
very thing. Yeah, it
Are
was
you
cool.
heading out to VCon again this summer?
They're coming to LA.
Oh, wow. It's in
So
LA,
I'm
so you're
planning
definitely going.
to, yeah, I'm planning to like plan some shows during that time. So there will be like what's it called? Side events, hopefully.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very, very
Thank
cool.
you.
So I'm curious, do you have a favorite when it comes to all these different music platforms? Obviously, Sound.xyz seems to be working fairly well for you. You got some pretty cool tracks on there. Or like you say, you're kind of omni-platform as well, maybe? Do you have a favorite when it comes to these platforms? Or one that you... Yeah.
They're all different.
Yeah. So really just different audiences, different targets.
That's the cool part. Like, I'm not signed to a label, you know what I mean? Like, I get to decide how to release it, how to not release it, you know? And it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of if you don't succeed, try again, do something else. Sound, I have to commend, there's no commission fee. Like, there's if you mint on most NFT platform, there is, or they might have changed it, but it used to be 5 to 15% on different NFT platforms, straight up. So the fact that Sound, their model is zero commission, you can't really fight that, you know what I mean? And it's not a set price. It's not like you must sell it for $2. You can price it at 0.1. I think that's the limit. So there's freedom to say your price. Again, it's just back to financial freedom. If that's how they do it, that's how they do it. Who's if you don't want to use it, please don't use it.
Yeah.
And it's NFT. You can literally write your own contract on Manifold.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
It's not a monopoly at all. You know what
100%.
I mean?
So when you say they don't take a commission, but they do make money on the fee, right? So there's a transaction fee that's only charged to the buyer,
audience,
to the minter?
Yeah, the buyer.
Okay. So when you mint your track, you're not even paying them a fee to mint the track even?
To make the song?
Yeah, like to make the song, set it up on their platform?
If you mint it on layer 2, it is nothing.
Okay.
On Ethereum, it still goes by Ethereum rules.
And when they do those open editions, because I have been seeing more of them, to your point, when they do the open editions that are free, how is the artist benefiting financially at all? Like, is there a small cut from like that transaction fee that goes back to them at all, or it's just they don't have any benefit when they do those financially? Obviously,
you get paid even if you drop a free one from the mint fee. Yeah,
from the mint fee. Yeah, so it's like $1 each or something like that.
To find like half of the crypto Twitters to get into it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you need the volume. If you want to make $1,000, you need thousands of them minting them for sure. All right, I dig it. That's amazing though. That's cool to know, because I was curious, because I'm like, I just want to know they're getting something out of it, because to your other point, right, it's not okay to just like be putting stuff out and going broke. This whole starving artist syndrome is definitely a big part of what I think Web3 is doing away with, and it's hard. I talk to a lot of artists locally here that I've been trying to pull into Web3. I gave up 2 years ago already, because I've realized, like you said, we can't even convince our best friends, let alone random artists that you just meet and be like, hey, you should try this new technology, and
you can pay for my music. Try that out. Right? Like, what? You're streaming it on YouTube for free? How about paying for it?
Do you support me? Do you want to see me do better?
It's like, why would you listen to music for free when you can pay for it? Music NFT model.
That's a Web3 quote for sure. I'm here for it though.
They call us the vegans of NFT.
Vegans of NFTs, shit. Well, we got to change that. I'm hoping that music is going to be the cultural drive, and I think it is. Like, I see it already happening. I see a lot of really cool use cases, and a lot of people.
Turn Web3, right? And they onboarded 15,000 people within one event.
Damn.
I always believe that music has that power. Like, imagine you can only see, let's say, I want to say Drake, but that's like, oh, that gave me in trouble.
You're in LA, you can't say Drake anymore. You're not allowed to shout out Drake anymore.
Drake throws a concert, and you can only see this concert if you open a wallet and get this NFT. Boom, boom, 10,000 people, one show. On board.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah, and
power of music. Yeah.
That's really amazing. So Coachella,
Power
what
of
was their Web3?
Canadian music.
Yeah,
Very cool.
we're trying, but apparently we're, anyways, I digress. I don't want to, I love Kendrick, and I thought that Drake was dumb for trying that. It happened exactly as I expected it to happen. I have no surprises at all, but I still like Drake. I'm not going to hate on him. I like them both. And,
Drake brings joy. That's all.
It's just feel good vibes, whatever. But they both got too personal with it, frankly. But I digress.
I mean, that's the media. Like, media is, they're best friends.
Yeah, they must be. What was the exact Web3 component of Coachella again? I do remember hearing whispers of it, but I didn't actually look into it deeply. What was the Coachella?
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't even know the details because it used to be they were selling this like lifetime pass for $40K.
Wow. Okay.
Or that's something, intense. Right? Yeah. You can bid on it or something. But then they realized that might not, they want more masses to do. So they did something else, but I don't know the details right now.
We'll look into it, but some kind of collector angle for sure. Yeah. No, that's dope though. I like the numbers, onboarding.
I just think concerts are a very fast way to onboard.
I dig it. Yeah, I can see it. And what you just mentioned is a perfect case in point when it comes to, onboarding 15,000 people by incentivizing it. And yeah, whether it's Drake, whether it's Eminem, any of these kind of.
Doing it in Thailand. Yeah.
Thailand?
Yeah, Thailand have these massive concerts too. And a Web3 company did that. And yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice. And you were saying you traveled to Singapore as well for NFTs? That was in that post that you were talking about from 2023. What was that like?
Yeah, I did. Sorry. Yeah.
I was going to ask what it was like and what it was for. Yeah, I'd love to hear the story behind it.
I did this mini Asia tour, so I did Korea Blockchain Week, Singapore Token 2049, and Decentracon in Japan. And so just did all three. It was great to see how global we are. Sometimes Americans get stuck thinking like there's only America. It's not true. There's a whole new thing being like Sandbox has an office in Korea. A lot of the graphics we see is actually coming from there. And then Japan is the OG of gaming, right?
Of course.
So a lot of gaming's going on between Korea and Japan, actually. So it's great to see that happening, and that's what they're interested in. A lot of gaming and PFP projects are actually supported by the Philippines, China, like India, of course. So it's great to put the face to it. And I mean, look at me, I'm Asian. So it's like, it validates the experience where it's like, yeah, we're global. Crypto is just globally growing. I get stuck sometimes on Twitter because it's just all like different NFT, PFP stuff, but I mean, it's way more than that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's good to see that. I actually made a post recently too about that sentiment. Like, I truly believe like crypto is a way of pulling people out of poverty, and the best way, the strongest way ever since like hundreds of years ago, these countries were colonized, which like left them completely displaced in terms of wealth and power. Finally, after hundreds of years, this decentralized finance system, Bitcoin, we're creating opportunities for people to get into crypto on their phone, or wherever, right? From your normal Web3 gamer play to earn person to someone who bought into Dogecoin, and then got rich. Like I've literally met people who are like borderline homeless to multimillionaires. Those stories happen, and those ones don't happen like that in places like Bangalore or, what I mean, like in the Philippines. Like and then some guy would be like, oh, but it's so bad for the environment. Like you don't know what you're talking about. This is literally putting food in people's mouths. It's changing lives. And finally, and it's not just like, oh, like now he can buy a Lambo. No, not everyone's like that. Like they can wow, now I can put my IQ to you. How do I say this? Like they're already intelligent, but with money comes power, and then they can like literally build something useful for the community
Mhm.
instead of like being stuck in a dead end job. You know what I mean? So there's opportunities being built like all the damn time. It's a little bit beyond just like bad for an environment. Like we turn off your AC. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how many people in Texas like they've never lived without AC? Like they just like
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
used to like blasting. Anyways, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, no, I've seen stats that
so,
actually Bitcoin mining is incentivizing alternative energy. And if anything, it's
oh
actually
yeah,
led to more innovation in alternative energy. And Ethereum kind of threw up their hands and said, all right, we'll go proof of stake, which some people were actually critical of, but seems to have transitioned fairly well to proof of stake. But on the flip side, it's kind of more centralized, right? It's a more centralized approach taking proof of stake versus proof of work, where anyone theoretically can throw up a miner and start mining and creating
yeah. The
and
SEC
entering
knows
the
that
network.
too.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what
Like
the
I've
SEC is saying.
literally met projects from Siberia and they're miners because in Siberia it's cold. So
Mhm.
with the machines, they don't need to build out the AC system. So like they've found Bitcoin to be a lucrative business there.
Yeah,
And then
literally
like
heating
I've
their
seen
homes with
them
their Bitcoin
donate
miners.
back to seals. Like, dude, they were like, if you support us, we're gonna help baby seals. I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like it's happening everywhere.
Wow.
It's super exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying about the global, basically upward mobility, right? That especially in some of these corners
Absolutely.
where they didn't have that access to upward mobility, they now have a new asset class, a new opportunity to build, and not just to invest and potentially make life-changing money, which is an opportunity there, but that's a little bit more tricky to be able to actually have creations. Let's say you already understand 3D building, but until NFTs, you were just plugging away at some company that paid you, you know, barely a living wage, maybe in some cases. But now you can take those skills, bring it into the metaverse, bring it into Decentraland, Sandbox,
Right.
start building digital assets and selling them direct peer-to-peer to anybody in the world, and start creating value and creating revenue and monetary revenue for yourself. And like you say, that revenue for these type of people most often is not going to a Lambo, right? It's going to feed their family. It's going to invest in their
Yeah.
community. We've heard people building schools. We've heard all kinds of awesome use cases, art, showcasing art that otherwise, you know, wasn't being highlighted or given, you know, proper kind of love, you know, and now they have money to create an art gallery and to showcase art in this corner of India, for example. Shout out to Jagar. So, you know, we talked to a lot of very inspiring use cases. So I love that you speak to that. And I love that you've traveled now all over Asia and actually seen that. I've been hearing a lot about the gaming side of things in Japan and Korea. So I'm glad you touched on that. We're going to be looking into that a little bit more in future episodes soon as well, because I do think going back to that point about bringing culture on chain, music is huge, but video games are also huge, right? And when it comes to being a lucrative economic engine, gaming is pretty much at the top of the pinnacle. People don't even talk about it because it's just so insane how many trillions of dollars are kind of floating around in the overall kind of gaming ecosystem. If you lump it all together across the consoles, across PC, like it's just a whole universe unto
Definitely.
itself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Definitely.
wild. So that's exciting that you saw that up close, and maybe one day I'll be able to travel to some Asian Web3 events. I've only been in North America so far, so I also want to go to NFT Paris, which you mentioned, so that's pretty amazing. Anything else you're really excited about that you're really looking forward to around the corner? I know we've gone over the hour, and we're going to showcase your music video here shortly, but I want to give you a chance to share any other projects or anything you're working on you want
I'm
to highlight.
doing a lot of new projects coming out. The most immediate project is a new music video that I'll drop as a one-of-one on Lens Protocol, which is in Polygon. Uh, it's a social fi system like hey.xyz that you're on. Um, the social fi atmosphere is really stepping up recently. So a lot of Web3 social media apps are blowing up, and us artists are getting really busy, just like keeping up, posting up on Dracula, on Farcaster, on Orb, on Hey. So you guys, if you want to do a mini support to your artist, please find us over there and just give us a follow. But yeah, I'm dropping a music video on Lens, Orb, Hey, like there's 3 names. Um, that's called Running, so keep an eye out. I helped with I did the concept of the video and I'm super excited to show you guys. I'm also dropping a lot more songs. Like I said, Omni Chain is my new meta.
I
I
love
want
it.
to drop something that's a visual collectible as well as a song collectible, and it might be free,
Okay.
So there's no excuse, support your girl. And then I'm also working on a more performance art project where I want to incorporate choreography, music, in real life performance, as well as AR, VR components. And I'm
Nice.
talking to different collaborators, like big artists in the space, and we're coming up with something. I do want to, as an artist, shift towards a performance art area where my message is a little bit different from your typical love pop song. I do want to kind of evolve, and so I'm working on this project called The Serpent, which is based on the snake in the Bible and how some people perceive the snake as something from the devil, but also like God was in control of that whole story. So how is it that like the snake so there's a story about like this tension, and also like just because Adam and Eve and the apple thing happened, like women were forever banished culturally as a lesser animal. So I'm really exploring those topics. Yeah, so I'm also doing this thing where I'm painting with my hands and feet on the floor. So yeah, that's what I mean by like choreo, painting, music, AR, VR,
I dig it. I see
performance art.
you had
So
a mint on Zora where you've got the paint on the ground that I guess you've done with your hands and feet. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So
So
that kind of
watch
stuff.
out for all these collectible content as well. I think that's going to be the trending thing on layer 2 social media.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So we will definitely have the link for both your Sound.xyz page. Looking forward to that open drop. That's going to be exciting. And also your hey.xyz page, which was actually new to me. So out of all those social-fi mentions that you just dropped, Farcaster's the only one I'm aware of. I'm not a huge fan of it, although, shout out to being Web3, and definitely glad that people are getting their bag over there. It's pretty cool. I just think it's like kind of quiet from my perspective, but I guess they all will be, right? They got to start somewhere.
I'm like talking to myself there.
Right,
so
right.
talk to me. Come talk to me.
Yeah, okay. I'll find you on there. I'll follow for sure. But a lot of great points that you've mentioned there, and thank you so much for dropping the gems. We will share the link in the chat. Let's turn it now to Private Room by Yunice. We're going to share that for the listeners and the viewers, which we'll keep on, and then we'll have a couple more wrap-up comments, and then we'll call it a day. But thank you so much for letting us share this. And here we are. Here we are.
And every day by day, if anybody asks for me, I'm going my way. I came in like a thief into the night. Calling on me, I'm calling away you intrude my time. Free my mind and my feelings for you. Ease the vibe, can you do it for me? You ain't gotta play me, babe. You came in the right time. You ain't gotta say it, babe. Are you ready for a weekend of freaking and freaking? And I really wanna date her. Follow me here, alright? I get you everything you want from me tonight. You say you want a private room, you got it now. I get you everything you want from me, alright? All night, all night, all night. Follow me here, alright? I get you everything you want from me tonight. You say you want a private room, you got it now.
That's what's up. Amazing. That's beautiful. That's real art, honestly. And the music is awesome. Performance is amazing. On point. Private Room. Want to tell us a little bit more about that before we ride out here?
Sure, it's one of the first songs I wrote when I moved to LA. I wrote this with Tristan Boston. He actually produced the Damian Marley album.
Wow.
Julian.
That's a favorite of mine. Like, he's top 5 artists for real. I love Damian. I love it.
So that was great. Wrote that in like one take, one sitting, not one take, but like one very short sitting. And yeah, I love that song.
It's a vibe. I love it too. There we go. Check it out at hey.xyz/u/Yunice. That's how you get to Yunice's Hey page, and which I will also share in the description below the video and below our podcast on all the podcast networks. You'll be able to find it there. So thank you so much, Yunice. Do you have any final thoughts, any final words before we wrap up here?
Yeah, just make sure to follow me and keep in touch. And I would love to hear from you guys, your thoughts on my music, my art, or just like chat Web3 crypto. I'm for it. Yeah, I would love to meet more of you out there. So hit me up.
I love it. I don't know the next time we'll meet in person, but I definitely look forward to pulling you into the metaverse and connecting. Think. Yeah, likely sooner than I think. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate your time, Yunice, and we'll definitely be watching your career going forward. A lot of amazing art, a lot of amazing music. Awesome. Let's go. Until next time, we'll catch you all in the metaverse. Take care, everyone. Peace out. Pew, pew.
Bye-bye.